I don't work for the military, I don't work for the government, I don't represent the American people. I'm a father who wants his son back. My name is Bob Bergdahl. I'm the father of Sergeant Bowe Bergdahl. I'm 54 years old. I worked for UPS for 28 years. I'm retired. I wake up each morning and my first thought is my son is still a prisoner of war in Afghanistan. And I need to do something about that. This is an aspen forest. So Bowe played through here when he was growing up as a kid. He and his friends were all over these trees. And so it's nice to come up here and reminisce, and I guess it makes me feel good. Gives me something to do, and it's a nice place to take a break when you're cutting wood. We had this camp set up before the winter came, but now there's a couple feet of snow out there, so this is a pretty cozy place to be. This is what we used to do, still do, but this is how Bowe grew up, and we set this up for him hoping he'd get home this winter. Maybe he'd need a place to stay and kind of recover. He was not there for national security. He was not there because he lost a personal friend on 9/11. He was there because the way he was raised forced him to have compassion. I know that was Bowe's motivation, to help these people. It's how the war is shaped in the minds of a lot of Americans, is that we are there as some kind of Peace Corps with guns, and that is just an impossible mission. It's a mission that we're not very good at, I don't believe. I think the last decade proves that.
The time has come for America to hear the truth about this tragic war. In international conflicts, the truth is hard to come by.
The reason I go back to 1967 and this sermon by Martin Luther King about why he's opposed to the Vietnam War is to gain his inspired wisdom, in my opinion, and then work forward again through time and through history to where my son is in Waziristan, and try to make sense of that.
There's something strangely inconsistent about a nation and a press that will praise you when you say be nonviolent toward Jim Clark, but will curse and damn you when you say be nonviolent toward little brown Vietnamese children. There's something wrong with that press.
I'm sorry, how can we teach 2 generations at least of children in this country that we have zero tolerance for violence, but we can occupy 2 countries in Asia for almost a decade? It's schizophrenic. And no wonder this younger generation is struggling psychologically with the duplicity of this, the use of violence. The purpose of war is to destroy things. You can't use it to govern. First thing I do is feed the cat, who's usually asking me to be fed. And then I start a fire and warm this place up, and then... How's that for Idaho, huh? I'm trying to learn a little Pashto so I can speak with people. I'm trying to write or read the language. I probably spend 4 hours a day reading on the region, on the history. I'm working to get Bowe home, and some days I get up and I'm so angry at some policy that's just happened that I got to research that. And then it all comes together. It's all related somehow. Economics is related to foreign policy, and domestic politics is related to our foreign policy, and our foreign policy is related to Afghanistan, and on we go. This has been an education, I'll tell you that.
We have Sergeant Bowe Bergdahl. He's been at the center of negotiations now going on between our government and the Taliban. What they want in return is the release of 5 detainees from Guantánamo Bay. We've heard a lot of U.S. lawmakers, despite the fact that this is an American life that's involved here, say that that it's not worth releasing these men because they are dangerous. What's your take?
I'm in touch occasionally with Bowe's father, Bob, who's a good man who's stuck by his son all these years. The 5 that they're referring to are not part of the group that are on the to-be prosecuted list. So if we can get rid of them, which is what we want to do to begin with, and get Bowe back, it seems like a win-win. So we can get Guantánamo closed and Sergeant Bergdahl back home where he belongs.
The chief prosecutor for the military in Guantánamo Bay is saying that the 5 Afghans should be traded for Bowe Bergdahl. The chief prosecutor. I don't think anybody can relate to the prisoners in Guantanamo more, I don't think, than our family. Because it's the same thing. My son is a prisoner of war. And wars end with reconciliation and negotiations with the enemy, and prisoners of war should be part of that dialogue. And I insist that it will be. There's a Supreme Court justice that was sent to Nuremberg for the Nuremberg trials, and he has a just absolutely fantastic statement of what American justice stood for at the end of World War II. How could we have such a high standard of judicial process for horrible war criminals? And without a doubt, people were guilty of crimes against humanity. And yet now we can go for 10 years, 11 years without even having judicial process. That's just wrong. Bowe had judicial process. The military Shura, Miram Shah, tried Bowe and found him guilty of war crimes. Very quickly, very early on, he was given his fate. He wasn't given his sentence, but he was given his judicial determination. And there's something humane about that. There's something inhumane about keeping somebody in limbo for 10 years. Yes, it makes me angry. I'm thankful that Bowe's most likely in a house somewhere. At least it's not chain link and cement
and barbed wire. I hope that's the way it is. Every day it just doesn't go away. You just carry this empty, unsatisfied, empty place in your heart every day for 4.5 years.
We're torn as a family, and I can read that in his letters. I can see that he was torn as well. But he was in the midst of harm's way, as all these other young men and women are. I think this is the darkening of the American soul. It's where the guilt comes from. Because you're being told you're helping, but you know on the inside that you're not.